Okay, les questions spécifiques, specific questions. So up until now, we've essentially been practicing with yes or no questions, right? Does he have this? Does he have this? It's either a yes or no. Now we're going to add more specific questions. So these are questions that are not yes or no questions, but they have a specific answer. So they are going to include what we would call question words, okay? So we're going to go through these question words, the meaning in English, and then I've given you an example of how to use each of those question words with inversion, inflection, and est que. Think about what n'est-ce pas means. You cannot use n'est-ce pas as a form of a question if you also have a question word. You can't be like, how many things do you have, right? Right, that n'est-ce pas is specifically for yes or no questions. And we are right now done with yes or no questions. So we cannot use n'est-ce pas. So follow along with me here. We have the word comment, which means how. We've already seen this in asking the question, comment tu t'appelles? Which is literally, how are you called? So in English, we say, what's your name? In French, it's, how are you called? So we could use comment tu t'appelles, which is inflection. Comment t'appelles-tu, which is inversion. And then comment est-ce que tu t'appelles? So notice, normally in our yes or no questions, est-ce que would be the first thing that we would put in our question. But if you are using a question word, that question word is going to go before the est que. Combien de? Combien by itself is how much. Combien de is how many of the things. So for when we're talking about how many items or how many classes, how many school supplies, we're always going to use combien de. And notice, look at your examples. Combien de crayons tu as? So it's how many plus things. That how many is always followed first by the object or item that you're asking how much of. So combien de crayons tu as? Inflection. Combien de crayons as-tu? Inversion. Combien de crayons est-ce que tu as? Est-ce que. So notice here again where est-ce que goes in that question now. It's after the how many things. Quand is when. So practice saying that with me, all by yourself right now. Quand. Quand. Okay? QU in French does not make a quoi sound. So quand, when. Quand tu as les maths, when do you have math? Inflection. Quand as-tu les maths? When do you have math? Inversion. Quand est-ce que tu as les maths? Est-ce que. When do you have math? Notice again that the question word goes before est-ce que. Okay? Then we have qui. 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 So who is always followed by an action. So you can only use inflection here. I guess you could use est-ce que too, but it's weird. Qui aime les arts? Who likes art? So it's always who plus a verb. Who has, who is, who does, who likes, who eats. Okay? Then où. Don't forget to get that accent grave, top down accent on that U. This means where. Où tu as le français? Where do you have French? With inflection. Où as-tu le français? With inversion. Où est-ce que tu as le français? With est-ce que. À quelle heure? So we've seen à quelle heure before with our time unit. So à quelle heure? At what time? À quelle heure tu as l'anglais? What time do you have English? À quelle heure as-tu l'anglais? What time do you have English? But with inversion. You see that à and the two flipped. À quelle heure est-ce que tu as l'anglais? At what time do you have English? With est-ce que right in the middle there. Okay. These last few, we're not going to really use this unit, but I want you to be able to recognize them. So these are just more recognition, not for practice. So we have quel, and quel. So the reason we have 4 versions of that is because there is a different way to say which for masculine singular, masculine plural, feminine singular, feminine plural, depending on which item you're talking about. So quel crayon tu as? Which pencil do you have? Crayon is masculine singular, so you use QUEL. Couleur is feminine, so you use the quel, that is feminine. Devoir, homework, is masculine plural, so use the masculine plural. Again, this is just for recognition. I want you to know that all 4 of these versions mean which. Okay, what has a bunch of different forms depending on where it goes in the word. So if you're using quoi, it's going to go at the end of your question. Tu manges quoi? You're eating what? QUE goes before a verb. Q-U apostrophe is that que smushed before est que. Okay, so all of those are different versions of the word what. Qu'est-ce que tu as? What do you have? Que fais-tu? What are you doing? Tu manges quoi? What are you eating? Again, this one is just for recognition purposes. I want you to be able to recognize that that que or quoi is what. And then pourquoi is why. So this is normally going to go at the beginning of your question as well. Pourquoi tu manges les escargots? Why are you eating snails? Okay, so let's practice with these questions right here. So where does the question word always go in the question? So just looking at your examples. Where is that highlighted word always found? In the front. So type in the front. First, which of the 4 ways do you not use with the question word? I told you this at the beginning. We have examples with inversion, inflection, and est que. We do not have examples with n'est-ce pas. Okay, you cannot use n'est-ce pas if you're using a question word. All right, so let's scroll down, flip it over to the back, scroll down. So let's practice going back and forth between the languages. So, combien de stylos tu as? How many? So it's always how much or how many plus a thing. Stylos tu as. Combien de stylos as-tu? Combien de stylos est-ce que tu as? All 3 of those questions are asking how many pens, I'm typing, there we go, do you have? Okay, all of those are asking that question. Now, quand tu as les maths? Quand as-tu les maths? Quand est-ce que tu as les maths? I want you to pause the video, type what you think the answer is there. La réponse, when do you have math? All 3 of those questions are different ways to ask when do you have math. Let's look at the next one. Pourquoi tu as l'anglais? Pourquoi tu as l'anglais? Pourquoi as-tu l'anglais? Pourquoi est-ce que tu as l'anglais? Pause your video, type what you think that question means. En anglais, why do you have English? Why do you have English? All right, this next one. So all 3 of these, quel. Remember, what does quel mean? Which. So write what you think that question means en anglais right there. Quel cours tu as? En anglais, which classes do you have? Okay, you could have also put courses, whatever. Okay, last one. So again, I just need to be able to recognize quel and que. So, qu'est-ce que tu as? Qu'as-tu? Tu as quoi? All of those are asking what question. En anglais, what do you have at 8:25? One more from French to English. Qui aime? TCHS. Qui aime? TCHS. Pause your video, write the answer. Okay, en anglais, who likes? Who likes Tate's Greek? All right, now we're going to do the reverse on these 3. So we have these 2 questions. Where do you have math? And we're going to write these questions with inflection, inversion, and est que. Okay, so I'm going to do this first one with you. So let's start with inflection. So when we're using inflection, we want to say, where do you have math? What word needs to go first? It's always that question word. So let's go back up to our notes. Here's our where is où. Notice that où is always in the very first word. So we're going to write où. Oh, my accents aren't working. We'll fix that later. Do you have math? So you have math is tu as les maths. Where do you have math? Now we're going to take that exact same question and use inversion. Remember, we're always going to start with où. And now the only difference between inflection and inversion is we flippy floppy the subject from the verb. So now we have où as-tu les maths? And then to use est que, question word still goes first. So we're still going to start with où. And we're going to add est que. And then finish our question. Où est-ce que tu as les maths? Okay, so now I want to do that exact same thing that I just did, but now with at what time do you have math? Asking with inflection, inversion, and then est que. So pause your video, write your answers to those 3 questions in French. Okay, vérifiez, check those answers. Inflection, à quelle heure tu as les maths? Inversion, à quelle heure as-tu les maths? Est-ce que, à quelle heure est-ce que tu as les maths? We're going to practice with these the rest of the class. Don't freak out yet. Turn in these notes.